Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Raza Ali Shah. I am a lecturer in physics at Government Degree College, Patan, Pakistan. I have been asked to teach the few two chapters of nuclear physics to the students of GPGC Mansera. It is the request made by the few students to me. So I'm going to teach you these two chapters, nuclear physics, nuclear structure and nuclear transformation. That course is for semester number 4 of BS physics. So starting the nuclear structure, the very basic question that one must ask is, what is an atomic nucleus? I'm sure you all know that what is an atomic nucleus, so I have just written it for here for you just to revise it. It is a tiny object that lies at the center of an atom. So an atomic nucleus is a very small subject, very small, that is nearly equal to 10 raised to power minus 15 meter, the size of an atomic nucleus. If we have an atomic nuclei here whose diameter, let us just call d, will be of the order 10 raised to power minus 15 meter. Okay, it is always positively charged because it contains the protons and neutrons. Neutrons are neutral, they have zero charge over them, and protons are positively charged. So a nucleus always contains positive charge. Almost all the mass of atom is concentrated at the nucleus. The atomic mass of an element is almost all of it is concentrated at the nucleus, at its nucleus, because we know electron mass of a single proton is nearly equal to mass of a neutron, and it is equal to 1836 times mass of electrons, roughly speaking. So mass of proton is nearly equal to mass of neutron, and it is 1836 times mass of electron. So all the mass of the nucleus atom is concentrated at its nucleus. That is, an atomic nuclei is one of the most dense thing in the universe, one of the most dense object in the universe. Okay, so what is the next thing is, what is the importance of an atomic nucleus? So why are we studying about atomic nucleus? Again, we all know the importance of an atomic nuclei, but let us just revise it. Number one, different element exist because atomic nuclei possess the ability to hold different number of protons together. That is, atomic nuclei has the ability to hold together same charges, due to which different elements exist. Except for hydrogen, there is no other element whose nucleus contains one electron, one proton. All the nuclei that we see in a periodic table of different element possess more than one proton, and it is the property of an atomic nuclei to hold these charges together. So same charges, keeping the same charges together is what makes the different element possible today. Number two, the energy involved in almost all the natural processes could be traced to nuclear reactions and transformations. So today the energy we see in different natural processes, no matter whatever the process is, could be traced back, that if you look at it, it will be somehow connected to atomic nuclei. For example, solar energy, which comes from sun, is somehow connected to nuclear fusion reactions. Okay, so different nuclear transformations and different nuclear nuclear reactions gives us different type of energy. Okay, and number three, of course, are nuclear reactors. Whether they are good for us or bad for us, whatever, but their importance cannot be neglected. Uh, so, just for your knowledge, I have made a comparison between atomic size and nuclear size. And nuclear size. let us analyze it lengthwise, I mean diameter wise. Suppose we have an atom here. This is an atom whose nucleus lies. Rutherford told us that the size of an atom is very large as compared to the size of nucleus. So, the diameter of an atom, let us call it capital D, is of the order 10 raised to power minus 10 meter, because atomic radii is r is equal to 0.5329553 Armstrong. Okay. This is Bohr radius. This was calculated by, so 1 Armstrong is 10 raised to power minus 10 meter. So this is almost 10 raised to power minus 10 meter atomic radii. Similarly, let us call the nuclear radii as small d, which is 10 raised to power minus 15 meter. So comparing these two comparing atomic size with nuclear size, d divided by d gives us 10 raised to power minus 10 divided by 10 raised to power minus 15, which is equal to 10 raised to power 5. So an atom is 10 raised to power 5 times greater than its nucleus. One simple hydrogen atom is greater than 10 raised to power 5 times its nucleus. That is the comparison between atomic size and the nuclear size. So our stories began with a brilliant scientist known as James Chadwick. Who was born in 1891 and died in 1974. Chadwick was a student of Rutherford, and he studied, or Chadwick worked on gamma rays in Manchester University. Under Rutherford. Okay. Gamma rays emission was a new topic back then, and Chadwick was working on it under Rutherford. Okay. After World War I, Chadwick along with Rutherford at Cambridge used alpha particle and showed that atomic number of an element is equal to its nuclear charge. Okay. So when World War I ended, Chadwick and Rutherford, it was again Rutherford was again supervising Chadwick, but at Cambridge University. At Cambridge University, used alpha particles to show that the atomic number of an element is equal to, and they both, Rutherford and Chadwick, proved that atomic number, which is Z, is equal to charges in and they used alpha particles for that. We all know that atomic number of an element is equal to its number of positive charges present in its nucleus, that is the number of protons is called atomic number. Okay. In 1930, two German physicists, those were 1930, German physicists who were Walther Booth and Howard Becker. Physicist Walter Booth and Howard Becker performed the experiment. They performed the experiment which I am going to draw for you. They took a slab of beryllium and bombarded it with alpha particles. Alpha particles are helium nuclei, that is two protons and two neutrons bound together. Beryllium emitted some unknown radiation They call it mystery radiation or mystery rays. So, these unknown radiation have the ability to penetrate through lead. So, if we place lead Pb, atomic number 82, in the path of these unknown radiation were able to penetrate through it, and again unknown radiation. So, the nature of these radiation was unknown. So, 1932, Irene Curie plus her husband performed another experiment whose name was Frederick Joliot. It was 1932. They performed this very same experiment with a little modification, and this was done. They took alpha particle source, bombard them on beryllium slab. The unknown or mysterious radiations were emitted, which they bombard on paraffin. And these radiations, these unknown radiations or mystery radiations, were able to knock the protons with energy 5.7 mega electron volt. So these radiation emitted a new type of radiation which we already knew were protons and having energy 5.7 mega electron volt. This experiment was done by Irene Curie and her husband. So they assume that these radiations, these mystery radiations, were actually gamma rays with high energy. High energy gamma rays, when alpha particles were bombarded on beryllium, it emits high energy gamma rays. It was the assumption of Irene Curie and her husband, high energy gamma rays which are able to knock out proton having energy 5.7 mega electron volt, means proton with its mass and the kinetic energy they possess was 5.7 mega electron volt. This is a tremendous amount of energy. In order to give one proton 5.7 mega electron volt energy, a gamma ray photon must possess, the energy of gamma ray photon must be 55 mega electron volts. It will give one proton 5.7 mega electron volt energy. So from this could be calculated from Compton scattering, but gamma ray photon with this amount of energy are not possible. This is a tremendous amount of energy. Okay, so the assumption that these mystery rays are gamma rays was wrong. Chadwick proposed that instead of neutral particles, Chadwick proposed that these mystery radiation were just neutral particles whose mass was nearly equal to mass of proton. So this assumption means that there was a perfectly head-on elastic collision due to which this radiation possess energy 5.7 mega electron volt, and they knock out the photon from paraffin. So now we do not need 55 mega electron volt gamma rays, which will eject the proton from paraffin slab. Okay, so this was the assumption, this was a proposition that was put forward by James Chadwick. Okay, so there were different other experiments which were taken out, and they confirmed the Chadwick hypothesis. So Chadwick proposition was that 5.7 mega electron volt energy, kinetic energy possessing particles, when bombarded on paraffin slab, will emit protons with energy 5.7 mega electron volt. These particles were called neutrons. Okay, Chadwick never called a neutron an elementary particle. Chadwick neutron Chadwick's neutron was a tiny dipole where electron and protons were embedded together. This is not a right picture of a neutron, of course. So Chadwick thought initially that neutron must be a particle a constituent particle of two particles, that is a dipole of electron and neutron. But then there was a Russian physicist Dmitry Ivanenko who proposed that neutron is an elementary particle. However, Chadwick won Nobel Prize in 1935 for discovery of neutron. (1935) and for discovery of neutron. So this was the story. During World War II, Chadwick went on to head the British team in the development of atomic bomb. We know this is a simple hydrogen atom where this is a simple hydrogen atom where a single proton lies at the center and electron revolves around the nucleus, that is the proton. Okay. In case of deuterium, there lies another particle, that is the neutron, one proton, one neutron and a single electron. So this portion of the atom where these particles, the proton and the neutron lies, are called the nucleus of the atom. So nucleus contains, number one, positively charged particles which are called protons, and neutral particles called neutrons. Okay. So two types of particles reside inside a nucleus. One are protons and the others are neutrons. It is easy to understand the atomic structure of an atom, the electron structure of an atom. Why? Because of the following reason. We have an atom, hydrogen atom, let's say. There are different energy levels, different bond breaking or connecting processes, or the excitation, de-excitation or ionization involves absorption or emission of energies. But these energies are of the order, the energy involved in this process, the photon emission energy is roughly of the order of electron volts, which is a very low amount of energy and it could be easily given to the atom. So this is how it was easy for us to understand the atomic structure, the electron model of an atom. It was easy for us. Understanding the nucleus was difficult. Why? Because the energy involved in this process, nucleus, the nucleons, that is the particle that exist at the nucleus, are bound together by very strong forces, which involves high amount of energy. Nearly equal to mega electron volts, that is 1,000,000 times greater than this energy. So The energy involved here in nuclear compositions, in breaking a nucleus constituent into its part, or combining the constituent of the nucleus into together, involves energy in the order mega electron volts, which is a million times greater than this energy. So it was easy to understand atomic structure, electron model of an atom, then the nuclear structure, and that is why there is a large time gap between understanding atomic structure and the nuclear structure. Okay. Anyways, so understanding a simple atom, mass of a proton is equal to 1836 times mass of electron. That is, mass of proton is 1836 times greater than mass of an electron, and mass of a neutron is slightly greater than mass of a proton, but here we can say mass of neutron is nearly equal to mass of proton. We will further discuss it in next lecture, that mass of neutron is slightly greater than mass of proton, and but let us just say mass of neutron is nearly equal to mass of proton. Okay. Proton positively charged and neutron is Q is equal to 0. Charge on proton, Q is equal to charge on electron, but opposite to electron, that is positive charge. Okay. Yes. Atoms of an element, let us say all the atoms, must have same number of protons, or atomic number. For example, all the hydrogen atom, be it protium, deuterium or tritium, must have same number of protons, that is 1. Similarly, all the carbon atoms nuclei must have same number of protons, that is 6. On the other hand, atoms of same element could have different number of protons, the number of neutrons, and this property, atom of the same element having same number of protons but different number of neutrons, are called isotopes. So for example, (99.99%) hydrogen atom contains 1 neutron, but a few contain 2 neutrons, and a very few contain a few contain one neutron and a very few contain two neutrons. Okay? So, for example, let us say my circles are quite funny, but still. Protium, let's say electron, proton, and neutron. Okay, so we can see from color coding, one electron, one proton, 0 neutron, 1 neutron, and 2 neutrons. Okay, this one is called protium, deuterium, and tritium. Okay, so protium, deuterium, and tritium, these are the elements, the atoms of hydrogen having same number of protons but different number of neutrons, and we call them, all three of them are called isotopes of hydrogen. Okay, isotopes of hydrogen. Similarly, this could be drawn for other element, for example carbon, cobalt, chlorine, etc. But this one is stable, this is stable, this is tritium is unstable. Okay, so in nuclear physics we are going to study different conventions and signs. Okay, conventional symbols. But before going to towards conventional symbols, let us define these isotopes and define these isotopes. The varieties of an element that differ in the number of neutron in their nuclei contain are called the varieties of an element that differ in the number of neutrons their nuclei contain are called isotopes. Okay? Or we can define them. The atom of the same element having same atomic number but different mass number are called isotopes. Now let us move toward conventional symbols. The following pattern shall be followed, where we will represent an element with x, z is its atomic number and a is its mass number. So, what is x? Chemical symbol of the element. For example, H for hydrogen, Na for sodium, etc. Next is Z. Z is number of protons, that is atomic number, and A is mass number of nuclide, that is sum of, let's say, Z plus number of neutrons, it is atomic mass number. Atomic mass number. So, the above written isotopes could be written as H, Z is 1 and atomic mass number is also 1, H, Z is 1, mass number is 2, and H, Z is 1 and mass number is 3. So, these conventions could be used for different elements. That was it. That was, I think that is enough for today. From tomorrow, we will discuss atomic masses. Okay. Thank you so much.